Monday, the 15th of February 1971, is the day that the country starts using the new decimal money system. Here to tell you about this record and how to prepare for the changeover is Roald Dahl, Information Director of the Distributive Industry Training Board.
Hello. Well, it won't be long now. Another D-Day is imminent. In shops, offices and factories all over Britain, preparation and planning for the changeover to decimalisation is well underway. The frontline troops on this D-Day occasion will undoubtedly be the country's shopkeepers and their assistants. On them will fall the brunt of the problem. For the great shopping public, whilst having a general knowledge of the principles involved in decimalisation, will still want to lean on the shopkeeper for help and guidance during the changeover period. It is then to help Britain's shopkeepers prepare for D-Day, to make them better equipped to handle the problems which will undoubtedly arise, that this disc has been prepared. The Distributive Industry Training Board is fully conscious of the need for the kind of practical help which this disc offers. That's why we've collaborated with the BBC in this joint venture. We hope that shop assistants, managers, buyers, drivers, all those countless people who make up the distributive trades will have an opportunity of coming together in groups to use this disc for their own D-Day training. You will find that the various bands will deal with practically everything that needs to be known. It will help you to understand all the problems more easily if you have a copy of the board's publication 10 Steps to D-Day handy. If you haven't got a copy of 10 Steps, don't hesitate to write to us at our headquarters and ask for one. That's the DITB, McLaren House, Talbot Road, Stretford, Manchester M32 OFP. I repeat that. The DITB, McLaren House, Talbot Road, Stretford, Manchester M32 OFP. It will also help with your training if you can act out many of the situations dealt with on this disc. The more practice shop assistants get in handling the new coins and dealing with probable queries before D-Day, the smoother the changeover will be, both for the customer and the shopkeeper. Remember this, the shopping public are pretty discerning. They'll soon know which firm is on top of its decimalisation problems and which isn't. D-Day gives every shopkeeper an opportunity of creating new consumer goodwill. So prepare and practice well beforehand. This disc, we hope, will help you with that preparation.
Roald Dahl, Information Director of the Distributive Industry Training Board. Well, while you're listening to this record, you'll find it useful to have paper and pencil handy, so you can jot down some of the examples I'll be giving later on. What's going to happen on D-Day itself? Well, the decimal money system of 100 new pence to the pound, 100 new pence to the pound, can and will be used by most businesses. The banks, the post office, the inland revenue will be working only in decimal currency, and so will most large shops and stores, wholesalers and manufacturers, and so on. And from D-Day, all cheques and paying-in slips must be written in pounds and new pence only. And although for a few months it will still be legal to use the old money, fewer and fewer people will do so, and within a few days of D-Day there won't be much of it about. So, if you can, it's best for you, your staff and your business if you can change your shop into a decimal shop, in other words a shop where the prices are all in decimal money and where you only give decimal change, on D-Day, Monday the 15th of February, or as soon as possible after that. It's likely to be bad for business, as well as making unnecessary work and trouble, to delay going decimal for too long after D-Day. If you haven't decided yet when your shop is to go decimal, then I suggest you do so now. One thing that mustn't happen on D-Day in your business is a muddle, and your staff should know when you're going decimal and how to deal with the new money. So then, on D-Day, Monday the 15th of February 1971, the new decimal money of 100 new pence to the pound will be used for the first time, and bank accounts, post office business and so on will be all in the new money. Now about coins, but first listen to this.
Morning, my dear.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. And you?
Very well.
68 new pence, please, sir.
68 new pence. Cool, I ain't got all that much. I've got 5 pence here, look.
No, they're old pennies, sir.
Oh,
You
I don't
want
think
new
they're too
pennies
old.
today.
It's not too old, look. 1940.
Oh, this is old currency, sir. We've gone decimal today.
Gone what?
The country's gone decimal today.
Have they? What's that, another
Yes.
Flag Day?
No, sir. This is our new currency. There are 100 new pennies to the pound.
Oh. Well, I've got no more pennies. I've got some 2 bob bits here, look.
Oh, can I see your money, sir? Now, can I explain it to you in decimal?
And you and your staff are going to have to do a lot of this on D-Day, explaining the new money to customers, particularly the older customers, like the one we've just heard. 3 new bronze coins will come into use on D-Day. These are the new halfpenny, which is about 5/8 of an inch across, the new penny, about 3/4 of an inch across, and the 2 new penny piece, which is about 1 inch across. There are 100 new pennies to the pound instead of 240 of the old pennies, so 1 new penny is equal to 2.4 old pennies. 3 other decimal coins you'll already know. The 50 new penny piece that replaced the 10-shilling note, the 10 new penny piece, that's the same size as the old 2-shilling piece, and the 5 new penny piece, which is the same size as the shilling. And of course the 2-shilling piece and the shilling can be used as a 10 and a 5 new penny piece respectively in the new system. If you look on the back of the record sleeve, or on page 3 of 10 Steps to D-Day, you'll see these coins shown the correct size. These decimal coins have their value clearly marked on the back. One useful point about the 3 new bronze coins: they've been designed so that the 1 new penny piece weighs twice the new halfpenny, and the 2 new penny piece weighs twice the new penny. This means that you can count and check a mixed bag of the new bronze coins by weighing them, and that's something you'll remember that you couldn't do with the old pennies and halfpennies. The old pennies and threepenny bits will stay around and be available on request from the banks until the end of the changeover, but everyone expects that they'll go quickly out of use in the first few days after D-Day. The 6pence, which is equal to 2.5 new pence exactly, is also likely to go out of use fairly quickly, but that depends on how much retailers use 2.5 new pence as a price and how often they give the coin in change. 100 new pence to the pound then on D-Day, and 3 new bronze coins, the 2 new penny piece, 1 new penny piece and the new halfpenny, and you can count or check these 3 new bronze coins by weighing them up together. And the 1 shilling and 2 shilling pieces will continue in use alongside the 5 new penny piece and the 10 new penny piece, as they're the same shape, size and weight. The 6pence, which equals 2.5 new pence exactly, will stay for the moment. The symbols for the new money. Now writing the new money and speaking about it. You and your staff will have to know this, because on D-Day and after, cheques, most bills and post office business will all be in decimal money. You'll find it useful to jot down some of the examples on this band, so have a pencil and paper ready. The pound, as I've said before, stays the same, so the symbol for it stays the same as well, the pound sign. And there's nothing complicated about the symbol for new pence either, a small letter P. The little s and little d for shillings and old pence will only be used for LSD amounts in old currency and will soon fall out of use altogether. When you talk about the new money, it's probably best always to say new pence where there's any chance of confusion, like this: £1 10 new pence, £1 14 new pence, 9 new pence, and so on. But for £1 20 new pence, you'd say £1 20, and for £1.21 new pence, £1.21, and so on. The new coins have not got special names, and it's simplest to refer to them by their values, as a 10, 50, 2, and so on. So, in the new system, you use the pound sign, as always, and for new pence, the small letter P. And you say new pence where it's necessary to stop confusion, like £1, 10 new pence. If you said £1, 10, it might be taken for £1, 10 shillings. Writing the new money is simple as well, and you use the pound sign before the amount of pounds, and between the pounds and new pence, a decimal point. So you'd write £2.75 new pence like this. The pound sign, then the figure 2, decimal point, then 75. The pound sign, then the figure 2, decimal point, and then 75. £5 can be written just as the pound sign followed by the figure 5, but for many purposes it will be useful to add a decimal point and 2 noughts, for instance in accounts. To write amounts in new pence only, you can either put the small letter P after the amount, or put a pound sign, a nought, and then the decimal point. So you'd get 97 small letter P, or pound sign, nought, decimal point, and then 97 for 97 new pence. You shouldn't put the pound sign and the small letter P for the same amount. So, for a sum of money which includes both pounds and new pence, you just put the pound sign and use the decimal point to divide the pounds and the new pence, like this. Pound sign, 29, decimal point, 27, for £29, 27 new pence. Pound sign, 29, decimal point, 27, for £29, 27 new pence. The new halfpenny is always written as a half, and it's always put in the third position after the decimal point, or, with just an amount of new pence, after the new pence. So you'd get, for example, £1, decimal point, 4 and a half, for £1 and 4.5 new pence. Or you'd get 9.5 small letter P for 9.5 new pence. One vital rule: if there is a decimal point, you must have 2 figures after it and 1 figure before it, even if some of them are noughts. Now try writing some of the amounts down, and you can check whether you're right by looking at the back of the record sleeve. Here they are. £2, 75 new pence, 97 new pence, 6 new pence, £29, 27 new pence, 3.5 new pence, and a new halfpenny. Well, if you didn't get them right, read pages 4 and 5 of 10 Steps to D-Day and listen to this band again. By the way, the banks recommend a special way of writing cheques to prevent misunderstanding or fraud, and this is shown on the back of the record sleeve and on page 9 of 10 Steps to D-Day. Yes, that's an old cash register, and one that you've probably decided to replace before D-Day. First of all, though, even if you have machines like tills and scales with price computing devices on them, the first thing you need to decide is whether they're necessary for your business. Decimalisation does not mean that life is going to become so difficult that cash registers and so on are a must for shops that didn't need them before. So watch out for the salesman's patter nearer to D-Day. If you are in trouble, though, there's a booklet published by the Decimal Currency Board which will help. It's called Temporary Adaptation of Machines, and the details are on the back of the record sleeve. But I must stress that the adaptation will only be temporary, and you won't be able to get this out of this. Next, banking. When the banks opened for business on Monday the 15th of February 1971, D-Day, they'll be working in the new money. Your account will have been converted from pounds, shillings and old pence to pounds and new pence using the statutory banking and accounting conversion table. This table is shown on page 8 of 10 Steps to D-Day and in the Decimal Currency Board's booklet New Money in Your Shop. And it'll be included in the official booklet Your Guide to Decimal Money, which will be distributed free to every household in the country before D-Day. This table, the banking and accounting table, is not the same as the shopper's table, which I'll be talking about on the next band. And it's not the same because the banks will not be using the new halfpenny in keeping their accounts, nor will they recognise it on cheques, so you can't write a cheque which includes a new halfpenny in the amount. So, the banking and accounting table, which has the force of law, will be used to convert the old money to the new in the bank's books. On D-Day, all cheques must be written in decimal currency. Before D-Day, they should be written in LSD, the old money. So what happens with cheques that are written in the old money and haven't been paid in before D-Day? Well, you have to convert them to the new currency using the banking and accounting table. Write the new amount on the cheque clearly, perhaps using a different coloured ink. Customers will want to know, though, what you're doing, and you'll have to explain it, like this perhaps.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can I pay my paper bill, please?
Yes, sir. £2.1 please.
£2. Can I pay by cheque?
Yes, you can.
Good, thank you. £2, 1 and 11, was
please.
it right? £2, 1 shilling, and 11 pence.
You do realise, sir, that we will have to convert this into new currency for you, because the banks have closed for transactions in LSD now, and up until the 15th, we shall have to change them into the new currency.
You're going to change them?
Yes, we shall be using the banking and accounting table used by the banks.
Well, look, why can't I write it out in the decimals now?
No, I'm afraid you can't do this, sir.
Why not?
We will convert it using the banking and accounting table.
Well, I hope you'll convert it correctly.
Yes, I promise you we will, sir, but your bank will check it for you as the cheques go through.
So, a cheque written before D-Day must still be in pounds, shillings and pence. And if it's not been paid in before D-Day, you'll have to convert it, using the banking and accounting table. On and after D-Day, cheques should be written in the new currency, and without the use of the new halfpenny. And again, this is something you'll have to explain to customers.
I'd like to settle my paper bill with you.
Yes, that was £3 9 and 11, but we've gone decimal now, so that's £3 49 and a half.
£3 49 and a half?
Yes.
I see. Can I pay by cheque?
Yes, certainly, but if you pay by cheque, could you make it out for £3 50, please?
But I thought you said it was £3 9 and 11.
Yes, but you see, you can't write the halfpenny on a cheque, and all cheques now have to be written in decimal form. So you have to make the cheque out for £3 50.
But that's more than what I actually need to pay you.
Well, it isn't, you see. We're having to use the banking and accounting table, which deals in whole pennies. So according to that, £3 9 and 11 converts to £3 50. So that's how you'd have to write your cheque out, so that we could bank it.
Well, it sounds a bit to me as though you're putting your prices up.
Well, it isn't really, sir. It's just, that there's this imbalance and a few things don't convert exactly.
Since the cheque has to be written in decimal money, otherwise the bank won't take it, the banking and accounting table is the best way to agree what amount he should put on his cheque. But he could insist on paying it in pounds, shillings and pence cash, even though this is a decimal shop. This is because legally the debt remains £3 9 shillings and 11 pence. Let's just sum up what happens with the banks. On D-Day and afterwards, they'll work entirely in decimal currency. Though you'll be able to get LSD change if you need it. Your account will be converted to pounds and new pence. And to convert your account, the banks will use the statutory banking and accounting table. You'll have to use this table, which is sometimes known as the whole penny table, to convert any cheques drawn in LSD that you haven't paid in before D-Day. After D-Day, of course, all cheques must be drawn in pounds and new pence only. And the banks will not be using the new halfpenny in their accounts, nor will they recognise it on cheques. One final thing. You're going to need more change on D-Day, so fix that with your bank and make sure your insurance covers the extra cash holdings you've got. And now, repricing your merchandise. When your shop goes decimal, you'll have to put your prices into the new currency. And as 1 new penny equals 2.4 old pennies, you can only convert them exactly where the price ends in sixpence or shillings. Sevenpence, ninepence and so on don't convert exactly. So to help you and the customer, the Decimal Currency Board has produced the Shopper's Table. Again, this is shown in 10 Steps to D-Day in full on the back inside cover. A copy of this table will be sent to every household in the country before D-Day, as it's included in the official booklet Your Guide to Decimal Money, and of course it's also shown in new money in your shop. I want to emphasise that this shopper's table is not a conversion table for changing money, and it does not give the customer a choice of paying in new money or old. It's a guide to help you to reprice your stock fairly, and to help customers to see that your prices are fair. Some prices are rounded up and others are rounded down, so that, on balance, both customers and shops will neither lose nor gain. This will help you to deal with the difficult customer who suspects that D-Day means you'll have a chance to put up prices without anybody noticing, like this chap.
Yes, sir.
Can I have this tin of emulsion, please?
Yes, that'll be £1 24 new pence.
Oh, what's that in the old?
Well, in fact, it's difficult to say what it was in the old. Using the shopper's guide, I can give you an idea. It would have, in fact, have been £1 4 and 10 pence.
I knew you were diddling me. I've been buying emulsion here for months now, and you've always charged me £1 4 and 9. I knew you were going to put prices up on D-Day.
Well, I'm surprised to hear you say that if you're a regular customer, because you'll know it isn't our policy to put prices up. Perhaps I can explain to you, though, exactly what has happened. Since we went decimal, we have in fact got to get as near as we can to the original price. The original price of this paint was in fact £1 4 and 9 pence, which, as you'll see from the shopper's guide here, will be equal to £1 and 24 new pence. Now, in fact, 4 and 9 pence or 4 and 10 pence are both equal to 24 new pence.
Well, of course, they're not equal. They can only be approximate, and 4 and 9 pence would be rounded up, and 4 and 10 pence would be rounded down. Now listen to the reaction.
But really, you're putting it up a penny, aren't you?
Not really.
Well, why
because
don't you charge 23.5 or something? Because we've got half new pennies. And that's a half new penny is equal to 1 penny according to your table there, so why not make it 1.23.5?
Well, the 4 and 9 pence, as you can see, is 24. If it was 23.5, this in fact will be equal to 4 and 8 pence. Now, on some of our goods, what we've done is we've put the price down, we've rounded down, but on others we've rounded up. And I'm quite sure that if you were in business as we are, you couldn't obviously put all your prices down. What we've had to do is to choose to put some up and some down, and it just so happens that this gallon of emulsion that you want is one of the items which we've rounded up.
Well, perhaps it would have been better to say that the official shopper's table has been used to convert prices as fairly as possible. And this has the effect of rounding some prices up and some prices down, and that the price of paintbrushes, for example, had perhaps been rounded down. So the shopper's table can help you to show your customers that you're being fair. But look out. You'll only be trading in one system or the other, pounds and new pence, or pounds, shillings and old pence. And the shopper's table doesn't give your customers the option of paying in one price or the other, or you'd lose both ways. Here's another difficult customer, this time buying a cigar.
Good morning, sir. Can I help you?
Yes, can I have one of my usual cigars, please?
Yes, indeed. There we are. 16 new pence, please.
16 what?
16 new pence. We've gone decimal today.
Oh, have you? Well, I'd know. I always pay 3 and twopence.
Well, yes, indeed. The old value was 3 and twopence, but as from today, we've converted all our prices to the new decimal currency, which you must have heard about.
Yes, I have, yes.
And under the new system, it is now 16 new pence.
Doesn't sound right to me. 3 and twopence, 16 new pence. How do you work that out?
Well, have you had one of the tables, which you've probably had put through your door, the shopper's guide? You'll see from that that, in fact, all prices, all the old prices, the LSD prices, now have an equivalent, or nearly an equivalent, in the new decimal currency. And the price of your cigar is now 16 new pence.
16 new pence? Well, I haven't got any of this new money, so if I give you 3 and twopence, that'll be all right, will it?
Well, it won't, in fact, no. If you can
Why
give me
not?
3 and sixpence, I'll then show you how we can give you the correct change.
Well, look, I've got 3 and twopence. I've always paid 3 and twopence. Let me pay 3 and twopence now.
Yes, well, we're a decimal shop, you see, now, and if you can give me 3 and sixpence, I
Right.
can then give you change, and I'll show you exactly why it is this amount.
Right. There we are, 3 and 6.
That's 3 and sixpence, fine. Now, this, in fact, under the new decimal coins is equal to, that's 10, and a 5 is 15, and 2 1/2 is 17 1/2, which is what you've actually given me.
Not an easy customer. What would your staff do? One point, though, which might prove difficult. Even if you're a decimal shop, if a customer owes you money from before D-Day, he can insist on paying the amount in pounds, shillings and pence, in old money, in cash, and you must take it in settlement. If he offers you a cheque, though, he must write the cheque in pounds and new pence, in decimal money, and to convert the amount, you can use the banking and accounting table that I mentioned on the previous band.